It's been about 4 or 5 months since I switched from this laptop as my daily driver to this desktop. So I wanted to talk about my experience with, being on a laptop versus being on a desktop and sort of my personal workflow and why I think being on a desktop ultimately works better for me. Laptops are the best-selling devices in the computing market, not desktops, not high-end desktops. Laptops are the best-selling devices for consumer computing, and it's not hard to see why. The thinness and elegance and portability of a laptop, combined with the relative strength of a lot of high-end laptops, pretty much guarantees that your average person doesn't really need all that much more out of a computer. But I'm no average person, and to me, moving from a laptop to a desktop made sense for me, but it might not make sense for everybody. In order to explain my switch from laptop to desktop, I kind of have to explain how I got this laptop and just sort of my general computing history. So I got this laptop, the Asus UX501J. The proper model number will be somewhere over here. I got this specific model of laptop in late 2015 when I was in my senior year of high school. And I know I've been out of high school for almost 4 years, but I probably sound like a middle schooler or so. I got this for college, mainly as future-proofing, and it can handle whatever I wanted to throw at it. I believe this is specifically an Intel quad-core model with an NVIDIA 960M integrated in it. And that was pretty decent back when I got it in 2015. I didn't really know that much about CPUs or GPUs or anything like that, or the difference between brands and certain models or whatever. Hell, I didn't even know who AMD's was at that point. Back when I got this laptop, I wanted to be a game designer, and that probably I knew that involved some programming or some other sort of intensive 3D application, but I wasn't quite sure specifically, so I just got, something beefy. I really didn't need much more than my laptop, for my computing needs for about 3 years after I had got it. Earlier on in college, I was around the campus a lot more, so it made more sense for me to have a laptop. I couldn't really get Unreal Engine or Unity or Maya to work on my laptop, but that really wasn't my intention at the time. But towards the end of 2018, I started really falling in love with video editing, and that's when I made my Grinch League documentary series. As I made more and more videos, and I switched my major to film, specifically video editing, because I wasn't really cut out for game development. I didn't really have the skills for it, and I didn't really care to, push myself further for something I didn't really care for anymore. As I was doing more and more complex projects, more layers, more things going on, longer videos, things like that, this laptop, really, I was kind of really pushing it to the edge of what was possible. I never really maximized the use out of the GPU, but the CPU, I was really straining a lot. I kind of realized that in order for me to get, more ambitious with my projects and do more and higher resolutions and stuff like that, I really needed something that was more powerful than this. Around early 2019, I had started looking into PC parts and stuff like that. I mean, I've been absorbing sort of PC hardware stuff in general through osmosis in 2017 because I watch Linus Tech Tips and I love that YouTube channel. Just kind of understanding, the different terms, what cores mean, what frequency is, what motherboard features to look for, what kind of RAM I should be looking for, what a graphics card is, the difference between AMD and NVIDIA and Intel. I also spent a lot of that time accumulating sort of stuff to start my transition to a desktop. You can see this picture of my old setup and the two external monitors that I have, and you should probably realize how bad it probably was for my ergonomic experience having to hunch over my laptop and then go back to looking at, screens multiple feet away. I was just kind of tired of being hunched over my laptop for hours upon hours upon hours of work. It also didn't help that I pretty much ran out of USB ports to plug my accessories into, so I was having to rely on my monitor's USB hub to get more USB ports. And even then, I was starting to run out by the end. While I'm glad that I got the laptop when I did, so that way I could show my teachers, problems I was having with my programming assignments and whatnot, I never really used the portability of it that often. I mean, just look how thick this thing is. I mean, it's powerful, but it really weighed me down a lot. So why did I get the desktop that I specifically did? Well, you can check out my PC build video over here, and I kind of go into the reasons of it. A lot of cores, a lot of graphical horsepower, a good amount of storage, stuff like that. I'm a pretty highly intensive user. I record games at, high bit rates. I do record 4K video. I make long videos. So to me, a desktop really made sense for my style of work. For me, getting a desktop was really advantageous because it gave me a distinct space to work on my video editing and not really get distracted. Ever since I switched to a desktop, I just feel like more sort of in focus. I just feel like I have less in my way. I also don't really travel a lot, so I can afford to have, my video editing all be in one place, and I am always there. But, that might not be for everybody. But hey, maybe you're more focused when you work on a laptop than a desktop. I mean, good for you. Puget Systems, the guys who do all those benchmarks for productivity applications and stuff like that, they build a lot of computers specifically for certain workflows or specific jobs and stuff like that. Puget Systems' whole idea is that, there's not really a one-size-fits-all machine for everyone. For me, a desktop is just easier because I can just sit down, have one spot to work, and, focus on making something. I don't need to worry about the battery. I don't need to worry about hunching over and looking at the tiny screen. To me, it gives me one spot to do my work, and it gives me the focus I need to do it the best to my ability. I know that sounds pretentious to say for someone who uploads a bunch of stupid YouTube videos, but, I plan on working as a real video editor, and this is getting me in the rhythm of really getting in focus and ready to go. So anyways, that's it, and see you tomorrow.